Yes, sir.
Obviously we talked about it Tuesday night. I have a ton of respect for everything that Coach Self has done, in the game and that team. And, you try to prepare your team through film and even through a little bit of scout with just the level of pace and force that they play with. And, I didn't think we handled that for really very long stretches, pretty much the first half, early second half. And you got to give them a lot of credit, man. They're so aggressive. They're so downhill. And then felt like we were able to get a little bit better game plan discipline, keeping the ball out of the paint. And then when there were times even in the first half, I thought we played pretty good first shot defense. We just weren't able to come up with the ball, had some balls rattle through our hands. But again, that was kind of the difference in the game. Halftime, they had 30 points in the paint, only ended up with 36, and just felt like we did a better job of mirroring that. We had 5 early turnovers, and then only had 9 for the game. So it felt like we just did a better job of taking care of the ball, getting quality shots, getting back, keeping the ball out of the paint, which is not an easy task against them. When we did get the guys that we kind of wanted shooting it, we were able to get the rebound, and then guys stepped up and made big plays.
The second game in a row you've been able to close out and finish when you weren't able to do that early. Just what's been different these last 2?
Just a couple things, man. I think experience. Experience is so key in these situations, and just being able to execute defensively. We've talked about that. I felt like in both of those games, it was almost. The 2 games we lost early, it was like a flip of these games we've won. We talked about that at halftime. 43 points for us, giving that up in a half, you're probably not going to win that game. And so it was like, hey, let's flip the script. We've had 25-point defensive halves where we've looked really good defensively and been elite at times. But then over the course of the game, we give up a 40-point second half. So it was like, hey, let's flip it. And I think really just the ability to execute on both ends of the floor is the difference. And you get some misses. I mean, that's the truth. Basketball is a make or miss game, and got a couple misses and got a couple makes, and that was the difference.
Coach, that 16-0 run there in the second half, I mean, the response from your guys going down 8, that 16-0 run, what did you see from the response aspect of things with your group?
Yeah, just, again, a lot of resolve, a lot of togetherness, a lot of belief, that, and again, just kind of finally found a group that was able to put it all together. And I thought Trayson's 2 threes during that stretch to keep us afloat were huge, and Jasper was able to get to some paint touch, kind of dribble downs. We call them. Some people call them like Barkleys, or we call them dribble downs, and was able to get the ball close to the basket and finish. And then again, if you're scoring or getting fouled, which we were during that stretch, you're able to set your defense. It keeps them out of transition, and they're one of the best teams that have. Coach Self's teams ever, they're so elite in transition with the force they put on you. When you're able to score and get your defense set, you feel like you have a chance to stop them.
On those dribble downs that you're referencing, were you waiting for specific matchups that you saw to really go with those? Obviously, second half you had several from a couple of different positions.
Yeah, it was some, some of it happened organically. Some of it is like you were seeking out maybe a particular mismatch to try to invite the double. They didn't double right away. They kind of stayed solo. We were able to take advantage of that. Then they made the decision to kind of start doubling, and we were able to take advantage of that as well.
Coach Self said that he thought Bilo and Harlan were the difference makers of today's game. Just want your thoughts on their play, and if you kind of feel the same as them being difference makers today.
Yeah, Bilo was special in the first half, and we needed every bucket that he got, and really kept us kept us at, in touch in the game, 16 first half points, and then just his ability, which he's displayed at other times of this year, to be like a secondary facilitator at that kind of combo forward position, 6 assists, 1 turnover, his defensive presence, and then felt like Harlan, really anchored us in the second half and had some huge offensive rebounds and was able to, again, get the ball close to the basket and finish, So, we needed that from those guys for sure.
It seemed like Harlan specifically also had just a real different energy about him coming into this one. Did you say anything to him pregame, or was he just kind of tapping into?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine I didn't say anything different to him, but growing up in Hoxie, Kansas, and playing Kansas, I would imagine his antennas were up. But the truth is, Harlan actually played good in the Iowa State game and played good against Cincinnati. They double-teamed the post, and so you didn't get some of the scoring, but in that Iowa State game, he had 4 assists and no turnovers. Probably could have had a few more assists if we could have made a few more shots, but his presence down there and his voice defensively, navigating those ball screens. Obviously, Hope Coliseum was, what it is, special, and, the best home court in the country, and we've talked about that. It's different than football, because football, they're the loudest, when you're on defense and the offense is trying to communicate. You know what I mean? And they impact an offense and they have to take timeouts because they can't get the play in and all that. In basketball, the crowd's at its loudest when you're on defense as well, but things are happening that you have to yell and ball screen coverages, and he did a really good job of communicating and executing with that stuff.
Russ, to your point about turnovers, I think they only had 1 point off turnovers in the second half.
Yeah, that was, again, when you look for differences in the game and what happened and why, I think we had like 4 or 5 turnovers really right out the gate that ended up in layups, dunks, and ones, and then our ball security got got much better as the game went on. And again, I thought Amir was tremendous in the first half with Jasper's early foul troubles, 3 assists, 1 turnover. He got a little fatigued, so then again, and that's where this team continues to grow. Like, we've practiced a little bit with Honor solely at the point without Jasper or Amir, but those were the first minutes that we've done that in a real game.
Russ, your possessions and your shots identical to what you average, basically, but the scoring is way up. Free throws, I get that, but if you look at efficiency, all that stuff, it's really good today against a very good defense team, like an above average you are. How what goes into it? They let that against a team like that.
I thought our execution was good, and then again, man, I think one of the hardest things as a coach and is to not be emotionally attached to whether the ball goes in the basket or not. And it's impossible, but really you got to fight human instinct. And if you're getting a quality shot, it's a quality shot whether it goes in or not. And again, I think what you're seeing is our players are getting a little more comfortable with understanding of the shots that we want them to take and we're comfortable with them taking. So I'm sure that adds a layer of confidence to them, knowing that, hey, coach wants us shooting these shots. In particular, like those paint touch. We told Chance in the first half, he turned one down. If it's a paint touch, if it's an inside out, we want to shoot it, and then Chance stepped into the second one in the first half and made the one at the top of the key, made the one against Cincinnati the other night. So I think some of it is just the player feeling more confident in knowing what he wants from the coaches.
Coach, your execution out of timeouts, Coach Self gave you a lot of credit, 3 layups. I guess, what does that tell you, maybe about the maturation of your team and just the way that they were able to execute what you're drawing up? Yeah,
this team's actually been a very good execution team out of timeouts, even early. I mean, I think if you look back at even the Mount St. Mary's game, we were able to get a lob dunk for Belo late in that game. The Campbell game, we kind of ran the key play that Belo started the second half with that we got a dunk on in that. And so they have good IQs. You can draw things up that maybe you haven't ran before, even in practice. The play that Belo got the dunk for in the first half, we haven't ran that play in practice, and it's not an easy environment timeouts can be, you get a lot of voices, defense, offense, and so to be able to take that from the board and then execute it, I think speaks to the level of their maturity and their IQs.
Ever since you've started Big 12 play, it seems like Trayson has become a lot more comfortable. What can you say about the stretch that he's had?
Yeah, just again, pours his heart and soul into this every day. Okay, even in the midst of some early season struggles, never made excuses, never blamed the coaches, never blamed his teammates, never ran from the fact that he wasn't playing good. Again, man, he loves this university, he loves this state, he loves his teammates, and he loves basketball. So even in the midst of those early season games when he was struggling, the thing that gave me so much hope is the very next morning when I'd be walking in the office, he'd be out there on the gun. And again, so he's a good player. It's only a matter of time before he gets comfortable and kind of finds his way with a new team, and I think he's settling in and played really good defense the other night. Played good defense, and I would imagine it's got to be his highest minute total of the season for sure. And just have the competitive stamina to defend and play, and he's getting more comfortable as a ball handler, and I think we're doing a better job as well as putting him in positions where he's comfortable.
Ross, on Harlan, in the first half, your offense played well when he wasn't out there. You created some stretch opportunities, the guys made threes. Did you think about that at halftime? Maybe less of him in the second half and just kind of reset, maybe he just has a better half?
Yeah, a little bit. I think yes, but also knowing that, you probably weren't going to replicate that level of three-point shooting from your forwards. You would like to. I think Belo was maybe 2 for 2 or 2 for 3 in the first half. DJ was, 1 for 1 in the first half. And so some of it was a little disappointing, to be honest, that we had shot the ball as well as we did from 3 in the first half and you're down 4. And, we were talking about in the timeouts and the huddles, man, we're not going to outshoot this team. We're not going to outscore them. We're going to have to, at some level, settle in and get some stops. And I just thought Harlan anchored us in such a way that we need. We need that anchor down there where you can throw it to and you can get foul pressure and get layups. And he's such a good passer as it is. And man, he went and got some monster offensive rebounds. And when he's playing at that level, again, it gives you a different dimension as an offense.
Coach, you were talking the other night after the Cincinnati game some timeouts when Cincinnati's kind of making their run, guys still had that belief kind of thing. I'm thinking about that, looking at this. Jasper gets some early foul trouble. Peterson's making a bunch of shots, and then they go on that 8-point lead there in the second half, and you could have just packed it up at that point. Why doesn't it happen? What's that belief?
Yeah, I think it's just it's the combination of belief, which I think this group has always had. They've always had a ton of character, a ton of belief, but then you actually have to go do it, and the doing part was what was getting us, But again, kind of talked about it in those early season tough losses. If you can learn from those situations and not run from it, not hide from it, don't take accountability, which again this group does, then you can actually improve and you can get better. And again, the combination of just guys stepping up, man. Like I said, you're in that moment and it's teetering, and Trey just jumps up and makes 2 monster threes, and you're able to start getting foul pressure on the rim, and then you can start stringing some stops together, and you get in that state of my wife's back there looking at the press conference, and she's a yoga instructor. You kind of get in that that flow state of, you're just flying around defensively. You're not having to think, but you are thinking. It's almost like a subconscious level of reacting and being aggressive and not having to be a little frozen on what's happening out there. And both groups to finish the game the other night, and then that group today, they were able to settle down. They did it with defense. And then when you're able to get stops, now you're playing in transition. You're getting mismatches. You're getting cross matches. You get rolling a little bit. Now you're scoring. Now they're playing against your set defense. And so I think some of it's just the experience of the group and the reps and being in these environments and being in these games. And we still got a long way to go. I mean, I was telling our team, when we were down 8, I said, we're still going to win this game. It's like, but we're going to look back at the stretch from now to that has got us in this hole, and we're all going to be very disappointed with how we've executed defensively up until this point. Because again, we talked about it. Now, again, I'm not one of those guys that only wants to talk about what we didn't do. You got maybe the first pick in the NBA draft over there. You got a Hall of Fame coach. You got really good players. They're impacting your ability to execute. But then there are the other ones. It's like, well, you're not supposed to be hugged up to whatever player, and you're standing next to him. That's something, no matter how good they are, you can control. And I felt like we kind of started controlling that a little bit better. And then we were fortunate that we got the right guys that we wanted to shoot, and they missed it. And we were able to grab it.
You obviously have this emotional game today, and now they've got to go get ready to play Iowa State, ranked number 3. You guys in a few days got to go on the road and play the number 7 ranked team or 6 or whatever they are. Is there anything disparaging about that?
I mean, the fact that you wouldn't let me enjoy this for like 5 minutes before you asked. But no. No. It's what you want to be a part of. We talked about it the other night. I mean, the NBA, the EuroLeague, and the Big 12. We've got, I think, 4 teams ranked in the top 10 at the moment. A couple are on the cusp, and so you've got to whether we would have lost this game today, you got to be able to sit on that and process it very quickly. You've got to flip quickly into tomorrow. You would have done the same thing. We'd have come tomorrow. We would have met at 3:00, and you look at what you didn't do well. You look at what you did do well, and you start talking about Houston. And our players understand that, and they're excited about it. And that's what you kind of sign up for when you're playing in the best basketball, collegiate basketball league in the country.
In your press conference, you talked about down the road getting these wins. Did you take any time that this country roads might have been a little sweeter than some of the others?
Yeah, man. It was again Hope Coliseum, and the fans, and noon tip. And I understand how far some people drive to come to our games. And honestly, you can dismiss it, but you do want to win for your players and that group in that locker room, but you do want to reward those moments that makes this place so special. You do want to reward that and share that with the fan base. And 14,000 people. I didn't get to fully enjoy it because I had to go do the media, but just to take a second and again, that's what makes this place special.
Ross, you've talked about the maturity of Amir since he got here, but with the way he's taken care of the basketball and played in big roles, has that even surprised you a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit, just because of, again, I've always, elite college basketball guards are going to be around, 4-to-1, 3.5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. And for a young player to be put in the environments that he's had to be in, going back to that first game against Clemson the other night, even at Iowa State, he was another one that didn't turn the ball over, finished the game out against Cincinnati the other night. And then tonight with Jasper getting those 2 quick fouls, which, Jasper typically doesn't get in foul trouble. And Amir really played the whole first half. He got one little break, and to have 3 assists and 1 turnovers and run the team and get the ball to the right place, again, it just speaks to his level of maturity and his talent.
Anything else?
Appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe on the way home.